Alright guys, welcome to another Schmattz Outdoors video. This is going to be part 2 of my raccoon handling series. This is going to be the fleshing portion of it. The first video should be the skinning part of the raccoon. This is going to be the fleshing part. Third part's going to be putting them on an actual board, and the final trim in that part of it, pinning them on, how I get them put on my boards. I'll show you quick what I use to get everything to flesh. Have my fleshing beam here. It's basically the width or shape of an actual raccoon stretcher. You know, it's kind of got the kink in the side, narrow nose, and it kind of jogs here. It's straight. Narrows down, it's about 1 inch wide at the top, and then I actually thin the nose down just a little bit there, just so it kind of comes a little more to a point to help hold the hide on there. I use a Necker 600 fleshing knife, and basically I just use a grocery bag in a pail for all the fleshings. Alright, we got my raccoon here. We'll get set up here and we'll commence to getting this guy fleshed. Alright, so what I like to do when I first start here, I like to give him a good shake. Just kind of make sure to get any dirt out of them, and then I give them a good feel down all the way, the entire thing, just to make sure that I didn't miss a burr when I was skinning them, which is very possible. If there's a burr in there, there's possibility you're gonna cut a hole in there. So all right, this guy feels good, so we're gonna come over here to my beam. We're just gonna I'm just kind of rolling them inside right, or inside out here. Make sure my legs are both on the inside, or on the outside, I guess, here. Pull his head out. Okay, and now I like to put them on my beam to begin with, on the animal's right side here. So here's the ear, the mouth, the nose. Like I said, the way my beam is shaped, the nose kind of hooks right over that nice, and then I'll lean on that with my belly. So you guys can see. So here's the ear, lower jaw right here. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the dull side of my knife to push first as much as I possibly can, and that's why I'm starting here, because the neck over here won't push off with the dull side. Usually you got to cut that off. By pushing with the dull side as much as I can, then I know exactly, oh, I just got to cut a little strip off with the sharp knife. Otherwise you don't really know where you can quit using the sharp side and have to, you know, can use the dull side. And I don't want to use the sharp side any more than I have to, because you're just that much more chance you're going to cut a hole. So all right, we're going to start. Sharp side of the knife is here, dull side's on this side. Sharp, dull. We're going to put dull side down and then lean back at like a 45-degree angle here. So I'm leaning it flatter to the beam than I am more you know, straight up and down to the beam. And then we're just going to start kind of right by the crease of the mouth. And I'm putting, you know, a little pressure down, but not a lot. And we're just going to push. And then I'm going to kind of work my way around, you know, the belly side here. And now I'm going to work towards the ear. And you can kind of see how much of it wants to push off. Kind of gum my blade up, so you wipe that off. And then I just flick it into my pail. And then we'll come back. And we'll just keep pushing. All right, so you can kind of see, so I just wipe and flick. So now you can kind of see how much of it didn't want to come on with the dull side. So now I'm going to slice with the sharp side of my knife, and I push. I like to cut like at a downward angle and pull to the left. So kind of this motion is what I'm going to be doing. I'm not like cutting straight across, and I'm not pushing straight this way. I'm kind of probably, you know, 45 degree to that. So I'm going to start right here, kind of behind the eye, get it started. And it kind of takes a little bit of feel to know how hard you can push there. And basically I'm just kind of, like I said, just kind of cutting down, making little slices. I'm not making real long sweeping swipes. I'm only cutting like a couple inches at a time. All right, so I got this side done. we're going to, so I just grabbed the mouth, I'm pulling it around, and then we'll turn the whole body. Basically, so I want to use the middle 2/3 of my beam or 3/4 of the beam. I don't want to be cutting right on the edge, so just make sure my nose is hooked on my beam, and then I'm pulling it down all the time to make sure it's tight, because I don't want to wrinkle like that or you're going to cut a big hole in there. So I'm always pulling it down to make sure it's tight. Okay, we're going to use the dull side again to finish off, you know, the belly, the leg. Keep kind of working my way. Okay, so I'm going to wipe my knife, and then I'll do the last couple kind of cleanup passes just to get all this, the last little bit. Okay, I'm back to the sharp side of my knife here. Again, I'm making like 2-inch little slices, and I'm pushing down probably a little more than across, but you don't have to slice a whole lot. Just get around the ear. And once it kind of plugs up your knife like that, see, once it kind of gets on your knife, it won't cut anymore. So you got to keep wiping that off. And then I just flick it in my pail. And now, like I said, I'm close enough to the edge. I don't like that. So we're going to turn him around my beam. I use my knife a lot of times. I just kind of lean into it and push. I'm not cutting. I'm not, just enough to pull everything tight. Okay, and then we're going to keep going right on the edge. And once I kind of get going, I'll basically start and I'll go all the way down. I basically got to get to this little membrane right here. So I'll just slice all the way. Once I get it started, I'll just slice all the way there, move over a little, slice again. And you can kind of see how it kind of rolls everything that way because of the way I'm slicing. Okay, start again up here by the head. Just pull him back over so he's kind of more centered on there. Wipe it off. So it was kind of bulging up right there, so I just pushed down here to tighten up that hide again. Gonna finish up right here by the ear. I'm actually going to pull the nose off and pull it up just a little, because I could pull that a little bit tighter so it isn't bulging up on me like that. So I try to basically get all the way down. You can kind of tell when you get to like more just fat and not so much gristle. And then I just kind of scrape, get off the last little bit that didn't slice. All right, now I'm going to go back around, and I want to do right above the leg here on this side. So I'm going to kind of push at the leg and then kind of right above the leg. And again, you kind of see the angle I'm at there. I'm not way up like this. I'm not way down. I'm about, 30 degrees maybe. And I want to push it just past the leg is all I'm trying to get there. And then we're going to do part of the back here. Basically, once I have it and I just wiped it off, and then we'll do a couple cleaning strokes. Once I have my pelt in a spot like this, I'm going to flesh the entire area. I'm not going to flesh this little bit and then move it. I'm going to flesh as much as I can and then turn it. So I'm going to turn it, and I'm actually going to pull it up so this is about 3 inches down, and that gives me enough room to get my knife so I could see what I'm doing. And since this part is farther down than this side, I usually start and I kind of work like this as I flesh. So I'll start up here and then I kind of work down and to my left. There we go. Okay, gets me over here. I'm right by this leg, the other leg. So I'm constantly wiping my knife, wipe, and then start over again. All right, so now we're right to this leg here. There's still a little bit of fat above the leg, and then the fat on both sides. So what I do is I just start and go basically right over the top of that leg. And what that does is it pulls all the fat off of this side, and it also pushes part of the belly here and the back on that side. Now, The reason why I leave my leg so long when I'm skinning, because then I do this, I just pull it up, I'm pulling the back side tight, then pull the belly side tight. You can see right here is all the fat that I got to take off of that leg. And I don't really even have to, like, I'm not even leaning on the beam at all. I don't have to. And then once I have it like this, I usually try to push quite a ways. Right here is a nipple. There's a little kind of, let's get a little closer to it here. Right there, you can see how it's kind of dark there, and it's got this meat membrane on there. That is a nipple, and you got to be real careful around that so you don't tear that open. Okay, I've done about as much as I can with this leg. So I actually try to push like part of the back off and basically half the belly off while I'm pushing just on this leg. Now, when I get around to this leg, I've already did this side of the leg, started it back behind there, because that's where I started. So I'll push a little off of the leg on this side, basically just everything off the top, pull it back onto my beam, on the end of the beam. Now I'm ready to go again. And you gotta be a little more careful, kind of right in the armpit area here. The skins are usually not that thick right there. Raccoon's a little more forgiving. They have a little bit thicker hide than some animals. I don't know if you just heard that, but you hear that like clinking sound? That's me going over that nipple. And the more you do that, the better chance you're gonna tear that open and leave a big hole. All right, I got pretty much as I can get. We're gonna pull him up and turn him, get me about 3 inches. And now we're gonna start right in the middle of the back, kinda. Again, I'm kind of pushing down and to the left as I go. So wipe that off. Gonna do the last kind of cleaning. Turn him a little bit, pull him up. And since I already did this part of it when I was doing the leg, there really wasn't much to push off right there. So I'm just doing the final cleaning, like I said, just to get as much of the fat off as I can, because they're real greasy anyway. Now we're back around to the belly here. There's gonna be a nipple right here. I could see kind of the little dark spot and then where that kind of meaty membrane was on it. And there's gonna be 3 rows of them, of nipples, and then there's 2 in each row. Okay. So we'll get a little more. There you can kind of see the belly. So there's 2 here, and there'll be 2 about here. So to get around that nipple, I'll show you a little better here. So I'm going to push down to it. So you don't really want to push right over the top of it because you're going to tear it open. So it's right here. So I'm going to cut. I'm actually cutting here and I'm cutting here. And by doing that, it kind of cleans. See how it just kind of tore the meat, and then I can trim off a little bit of that meat membrane. If I push here, it's going to rip that nipple open. If I push just behind it, you're fine. So just kind of roughly clean, lightly clean up to it and kind of around it. And then I'm off to the races. Right here's the next one. Okay, we'll turn and pull up. Now I'm basically past all the tough spots, so I'm just basically just gonna keep going around here. All right, I'm to the middle of the back here. You see how I did that? I kind of pushed, and I pushed most of that meaty membrane first. Then it leaves like this little bit of fat underneath, and then I just come back and I'll do like a couple kind of clean up just to scrape that little fat layer off. So I said I kind of scrape the big chunks, clean my knife, and then I come back and get any kind of the last little bit of grease. All right, pull this guy up. So we're darn near, here's the leg, the back leg. So I want to kind of push down the back leg, not like towards the butt, towards the actual foot as I go here. Okay, we'll pull it up. So I'm basically right to the edge. We're going to start in the middle of the belly here. And there's a nipple right here, so we got to be careful about him. And then we're going to push it off. So I'm just cleaning the last little bit of the skirt there. And then we're actually going to work my way towards that leg. So I start in the middle, in the belly. And then see how I'm like, in the middle I was kind of pushing straight off the pelt. Well, you got to do a lot of little tiny strokes to do that. Now if I run kind of the length of the pelt, it actually cleans that whole edge up really nice. See, that whole edge is all nice and clean. And there's the foot on that side. So we'll kind of pull it this way. Kind of clean around that nipple there. So I said here you gotta do a lot of like small strokes to really get this edge clean. But once I kind of get around the corner here, I can kind of push all the way down that entire leg and all in one stroke. And it cleans that entire edge. Alright, once I get that far, I usually turn them until I get the middle of the back. Right here's the tail. We're going to push this all the way to the tail. This is a little bit tougher area to push. Okay, so right here's one side of the tail, here's the other side. Clean my knife off. I'm not too worried about the tail right now. We're actually going to start and we're going to go down from the butt down to the leg. Again, I'm kind of pushing down the length of that edge, not like straight out. I'm not pushing straight like this, because then you got to go forever. I'm kind of doing a long sweeping stroke, and it cleans that whole edge up. And by leaving the fat on there, see how it kind of pulls my skin and everything tight? Keeps everything kind of nice and snug. So you, a little less chance of you balling up. And then right on the end, you got to kind of clean up the... Okay. There's one back leg done. We're going to kind of pull my tail out, put it on this side, and then we're going to start down this back leg. Okay, and then just finish off the back leg here. So I'm not pushing real hard. I'm not gouging into my beam at all. I mean, if I'm just basically ticking onto it, and if I was more like this, it would gouge, but I'm kind of like skipping off of it, if anything. Okay. Now we're back to the tail. So basically this fat ring is a full ring of fat from the whole body, and I'm basically I'll leave it on my beam until I'm completely done here. You can see there's a little bit still attached right here by my tail. So I'm going to just scrape that off, and then I'll just let that slide down my beam. Okay, on the tail, there's not a lot to flesh down towards here in the bottom part of the tail, but right on the edges up here by the butt, you do have to scrape a little off. So I'm kind of pushing down and out at the same time here. Okay, and then it kind of clogged my knife up, so we'll wipe that off. And then so I'm kind of pushing this way now, off this side. And then as you flesh it, see how it kind of opened that all up? Okay, now we're going to go right down the bottom and push right down the bottom of it. And I'm just scraping off the little bit of grease and fat that I get. I'm going to pull my tail up a little bit. We're just going to kind of just push. Usually you get kind of these little tendon-y things kind of sticking out the bottom. I try to just make sure I get them pushed out the end. One last stripe for good measure. Okay, there's a completed raccoon, start to finish. All done here. Basically what I do is I'll run my knife kind of over that guy, You can kind of see how you get a little bit of grease off of it. And then since I'm outside, we'll give her a good shake here. And do this way too. All right, that is one completed fleshed raccoon. He's got a nice creamy skin. He'll actually dry a little bit whiter than what he actually looks there, but all right, that's gonna do it for this episode of Schmattz Outdoors. Leave your comments down below or questions if you have any. I'm more than happy to show you anything or explain anything that I didn't get explained well enough during this video. Hit the thumbs up on this video if you liked what I showed you. Hit subscribe so you know when the third video of this series is coming out, the actual putting up on fleshing beam videos, or not putting up on a board video is coming out. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next episode of Schmattz Outdoors.